tell me that this show isn't going to be in 3 parts? You think you can finish it in 2? I don't know how much more I can take. What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we're speaking the language of God help me, please make this end. We're speaking the language of bromance. And Shawn has spent the last, I don't know how long, it's all a blur. He spent the last blur amount of time talking about this fucking show that I seemingly cannot escape, that I have not seen, but I am publicly defying. I am going against the grain, and I refuse to watch this show, Tiger King. Okay? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I haven't done it yet. Haven't watched it yet. I'm not watching it now, and I don't plan on watching it in the future. But Shawn, in his infinite wisdom, is giving it the old college try, and he is working feverishly to try and sell me on this show. So we spent an hour plus last week where he tried, and honestly, it sounds even worse than what I imagined.
Well, I'm hoping I change your mind that it's not quite a train wreck, because you kind of talked about, Honey Boo Boo, reality TV. It's not that. Like, this is more of like a crime drama type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like watching.
And for the record, I do not listen. See, I guess I'm just right now. I guess at this point, I'm just feeling like I think I understand what the show is, but it's still not for me. Simply because, like, the true crime stuff, like, is just never been my bag. You know what, Shawn? I've never, this might be the death knell, the death toll of the podcast, and I might get booted off of iTunes for saying this. I've never listened to Serial. Haven't listened to 1 second of Serial.
Oh, I did, because it was kind of the start of our podcast. Everybody's like, "This is a podcast," and I listened. I'm like, "This is like Dateline, but audio."
Yeah, that's the impression I got.
But I mean, I like stories, and I like true stories. I mean, I go back to like my mom used to watch like serial killer documentaries and stuff like that. I always thought they were interesting. And even just like there was one, what was it called? S-Town.
I heard about that one.
Making the connection, this is kind of a lot like S-Town. Not so much a like, oh my God, I feel better because I'm seeing this train wreck of a person, but just more of like, okay, I'm starting to see what this guy's life's about. I'm seeing all these other people are involved with it. But yeah, last episode we talked about Joe Exotic.
Yes.
And we're going through him, talking about his raising tigers and all the crazy stuff, how he turned 2 straight dudes gay, apparently. And we ended on the murder for hire. And I threw it out there.
I 100% did not know about.
Yeah, I just tossed that out there as a throwaway thing, because I would assume, since you kind of know a little bit about it, and that's like the big thing about this, you'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But let's go to the second key player in this story.
Okay.
Her name is Carol Baskin. So
all right. So that's what we're leading off with. Okay, now to preface this, I have seen a lot of, a lot of the memes on the interwebs are involving pictures of her and her name. And so, okay, but I will say, other than that, I know nothing about this woman. Okay, am I wrong? You did explain that this is the one that owned the sanctuary in Florida, correct?
Yeah, she has the Big Cat Sanctuary in Florida. So, starting back out, so Carol Baskin, she had a husband by the name of Michael Murdoch.
Why didn't she have his last name? Or vice versa?
We'll get there, Richard. She's had a couple husbands.
Oh.
So this first husband, this was when she was young. She apparently didn't know a whole lot about, like, I don't know really say herself, but she was just kind of young and dumb kind of thing.
Okay.
Got married young, got pregnant, and this guy was you think typical 70s, jerk kind of husband, abusive, alcoholic, the 9 yards. And so one day he's coming at her, I guess, and she's like, I just knew I was going to get beaten. So Richard, she threw a potato at him.
Like what kind of potato?
An Iowa potato. I don't know. Or Idaho potato. No, it's an Iowa potato. Because those have Hawkeyes in it. No, she didn't really say. She just was in the kitchen, like, peeling potatoes. And
at least she threw the potato and not the knife. Am I right? True.
But this is kind of like, when you're listening to this, like, you had the same reaction I did when she was talking about this. It's like, oh my God, like, you always hate to hear about people in these situations. And especially back then, too, because I think the stigma was, stand by your man kind of thing.
Yeah.
Was it Dolly Parton that sang that song? Or was it Reba?
I don't remember who did Stand By Your Man. I don't know.
But anyway, it was
Dolly's amazing, though. Oh.
There's that whole stigma about that. And so... you're like, oh, man, that's bad. She's like, and then he came at me and I was peeling potatoes. You're like, oh, my God, I hope he stabbed that fucker in the dick.
Yeah, right?
And then she's like,
you're like, get yours, Carol.
Yeah.
You don't need to be working 9 to 5.
And then she's just like, but I threw a potato at him. You're like, well, that's kind of weird. But you go with it. You're like, I mean, resourceful.
Did she hit him with a potato?
She didn't really go into details on that.
Oh, see, that's what I want to know. Be like, I threw the potato and then I beamed him square in the mush, like right between the eyes.
Hit him between the eyes. He tripped and fell.
Like,
smacked his head on the sink.
Motherfucker! Wow, pow! And then that little stamp that they, the state, where it has like Idaho, like as a state, and that was right on his forehead.
Instead of a mushroom stamp, it was an Idaho stamp.
Yeah, it was an Idaho stamp. It was a potato stamp. Just pow.
So
that would hurt though. Potatoes are like, ow.
Yeah, I mean they're solid.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't want to get pegged with one.
It's like getting smacked with a softball,
especially in the head. Like if it was in the body, it would hurt, but like I don't think it'd just make me more mad.
I bet it'd break your nose if you threw it hard enough.
Close distance, yeah, it definitely would.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically consistency of like a baseball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe a tiny bit softer, but so she gets out of the house and she's just walking. Like she kind of did like the whole like running to get away.
So she threw a potato at him and then bolted. Okay.
And she's walking down the road and like apparently she kind of talked about herself as being, an attractive woman at this time. She's like in her early 20s.
Oh, well.
And so guys
excuse me.
I know. She's strutting it down the road. People are honking at her. And apparently this truck drove by her like 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And the truck stops. He's like, hey, do you need a ride? Is everything okay? And she's like, no, I'm fine. So he drives away. He comes back again.
She's an independent woman. She can take care of herself.
Yeah.
Like she probably, what she should have done? She should have brought potatoes with her.
Just carried that sack of potatoes.
Yeah. Just in case she gets accosted on the road.
No, Richard, it gets a little bit tiny better than that.
Because that would be my fear. Is like if I was a woman and I was afraid that my husband was gonna beat the shit out of me and kill me, and then I threw a potato at him and I hit him and then I ran out of the house. Like I'd be like, oh shit, I just left all my weapons inside. All my potatoes are inside. I would have brought the potatoes with me, so that way when I'm running to get away, because obviously the guy, in my head, like the guy is going to wake up from his potato-induced coma, and he's going to be like, that fucking bitch, and then he's going to run out to his, I assume, pickup truck, and then he's going to get in it. I mean, come on. Like, it's a pickup truck. I laughed
because you said that,
exactly. Like, as soon as you described this man to me, I knew exactly what he drove, and I knew exactly what it looked like.
But you said that bitch, and so that's been another, like, meme out there, is that bitch Carol Baskin.
Oh, okay.
So you made a funny joke without knowing it.
I did. I'm so proud of myself. Would have been better if I knew it.
At this point, she would have been... Okay. She would have been Carol Murdoch, though. So she could have been like Carol Potato Murdoch or the Potato Murdoch.
Yeah. Be like, I'll start your whites and then I'll start your fucking face. Wha-pow! And fucking nail him right in the mush with a fucking spud.
Yeah.
So anyway, but as soon as you were like, oh, this guy beats his wife, like I knew immediately what he drove. So like, okay, so she runs out with the sack of potatoes and then he comes to from his spud coma and he's like, that fucking bitch, and then he gets in his truck and he starts driving and he's like, I'm gonna find her and I'm gonna fucking throw a potato at her head, and he's driving And then he's like, there she is. And then he pulls up and he's like, come here, I'm going to get you. And she's like, ha ha, wha-pow, and fucking hits him again. And he's like, ah, shit.
Police get a call over the radio. We got a potato firefight going on down on 7th and Broadway.
Yeah, right.
Do you think in his pickup truck he had like those license plates with their names on the back?
No, he had a sticker.
Oh, I was trying to make an Urban Cowboy joke, but you might not get it.
I've seen Urban Cowboy.
Yeah, he had like the names because he beat his girlfriend too.
Yeah.
Which
they all beat their girlfriends in Urban Cowboy.
No, I never understood that.
Did you notice that? Like Urban Cowboy, like they all beat all the dudes beat the shit out of their women. Yeah. But like for some reason that movie is like held in high regard.
My mom loves that movie.
Right? But like they like fucking just whoop pop. And like not even like a little like get away from me, and then he like you're being crazy and like slaps her in the face, like calm down, get a hold of yourself, whap. No, like fucking closed fist, like whap, like knock in the fucking right in the dome.
Yeah, I don't know if these guys, these are urban cowboys, so apparently they've never watched a John Wayne movie. The proper way is you put your lady over your leg and then you spank her on the tuchus.
Yeah.
At least that's what John Wayne taught me.
John Wayne was John Wayne in every single movie.
Yeah. That's Clint Eastwood's kind of the same way, though.
Only John Wayne movie I ever liked was The Quiet Man because in that movie, like the character he plays is not too far a leap from John Wayne.
Mm.
Like he's a, like in The Quiet Man, he's a boxer that that's coming to Ireland to try and
Oh yeah. That's the one you watch every
St. Patrick's Day. I watch Quiet Man. Yeah, but like it's just not that far a leap to be like, oh, he lived in America and he was a boxer and now he's going to Ireland. Like, okay,
yeah, it makes sense.
But like,
I kind of want to go through
all the cowboy movies, and then there was the one movie where it was Genghis Khan. Like he's fucking John. It's John Wayne.
But John Wayne was not the one that pulled up in the vehicle. So this truck pulls up, Richard. Pulled up once, and she's like, no, go on your way.
Hey there, little lady.
Pulls up a second
Carol
time.
fucking Baskins.
And he says, hey, I just got in a fight with my wife, and I really need somebody to just talk to right now. And he pulls out
what?
Oh, yeah.
So this dude just pulls up, and he's like, hey, I had a fight with my wife. Would you kind stranger that I just recently met on the side of the fucking road, would you like to come in so I can profess to you all my problems?
Apparently that's what you did in the late 70s.
That's fucked up.
No, what's fucked up, Richard, is you know what he had with him? A gun. And so he says, hey.
He's like, get in the car. I need some goddamn therapy.
Kind of. He's like, hey.
I need someone to talk to.
He says,
please let me air out my grievances. I just need someone to speak at.
He says, hey, if you're I want you take this gun and you can hold it on me the whole time. I just need somebody to talk.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you thought Joe Exotic was weird? This is how you're introduced to Carol fucking Baskins.
So this guy pulls up to a woman who's probably fucking terrified because she just like beamed her fucking current husband with a potato.
Yeah,
and he's probably like out in his fucking pickup truck. And for the record, it's a lime green pickup truck, but the wheel wells are rusted and there's truck nuts. There's most definitely truck nuts on the bottom on the back license plate.
It takes like 2 or 3 times before it starts too.
Yeah, and so he's probably out fucking looking for her because he's gonna hit her with a potato, and by a potato, that's what he named. He named his fist as he was walking to the truck to start it because that's what he's gonna hit her with. And then this dude pulls up, some fucking rando dude, and is like, "Hey, I need someone to I need counsel, and I need someone to, speak all my ills to. And the bar's too far away right now, so I can't talk to the bartender. So you're gonna have to do, and I want you to hold this gun at my head while I do it." Shawn, is this guy into some kinky shit?
It gets a little weirder too.
That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this guy's into some kinky shit. I feel like this guy is like, hey, let's do it. And while we do it, I want you to hold the gun to my head.
Yeah, there's another weird part that happens here, which again,
I knew it.
She's like, looking at the year, she was born in 61. She divorced her first husband in 79.
Okay.
So she would have only been like 18 or 19 when this was going on.
Damn.
So she gets in the truck. They drive around. He kind of talks about the stuff that's going on at home. Just, getting in fights with the wife, kind of just bullshit stuff.
Meanwhile, has a gun trained on his fucking dome.
Yeah, which, I mean, even at this point, if they got pulled over.
And she's like, could you hand me a potato? I feel like I'd be better with a potato.
So he asks, he's like, hey, would you stay the night with me? And he's like, but I promise no funny stuff and like all this kind of like basically just like,
Shawn, there was some funny stuff, wasn't there?
She says there wasn't.
There was no funny stuff?
No. They end up going to a hotel, which she explained was like
petty fingers, if you please.
One that's like where truckers go with prostitutes kind of thing.
Oh.
And while they're in the hotel, like, first off, I don't understand why she stayed there or went with him in the first place. Like, if some person pulls up to me and is like, hey, I just need somebody to talk to, hold this gun on me, I'll be like,
I'd like that's, I feel like that there's definitely a public service ad somewhere that shows that situation and then puts a big circle and a line through it.
So they get in there, and I guess they're talking, and no funny stuff happens, she said. But at some point during this time, he puts his hands around her throat and says, like, I don't know if I can't remember specifically if he said, I could hurt you if I wanted to, or I could kill you if I wanted to.
Because you've been such a doll.
Yeah, but after that, it was fine. Like, that was the only weird thing that happened that night.
Night.
Yeah, so he told her that his name was Bob Martin, and he gave her his phone number to his office, and so she would call and talk to him in the office.
We should do this again.
Yeah. And apparently, through all this, like he talked about, like he worked for the boss at this office, which again, like this is just all weird,
right? So this seems like very random.
Yeah, almost like it's like one of those things that you would like somebody who's like a terrible writer would make up as their story.
Exactly. This is like if a 5-year-old explained like tried to explain domestic violence to you. Be like, and then the lady hit him with a potato and she ran out of the house and then another man, he drove up and he said, I don't feel so good. Can I talk to you? And she got in the car, and then he handed her a pistol, and then you know what she did? The man said, hold the gun, and I'm gonna tell you everything about my bad marriage.
And
the way you talk, we go to the hotel.
How she sounds,
and then we go to and then he went to the hotel, and then he choked her.
He hugged her really hard.
And then he hugged her really hard and said, I could hurt you if I wanted. But you know what? He didn't. The end.
So he told her his name was Bob Martin. And so she would call the office and the secretary would send him to Bob Martin. Okay. And he just said that he worked for the person who owned this like company. It seemed like a pretty expensive company.
Okay. What'd they do?
Import, export.
That's fucking shady.
I don't know.
That's what drug dealers say, Shawn.
I don't remember what they did.
Like, I'm in the import-export business.
That's the other thing with this story,
I import meth into my body, and I export teeth.
Like, everybody in this documentary has a bunch of money somehow, but you don't.
They all just Tommy Wiseau'd it?
Yeah, pretty much.
We're like, hey, he's got fucking 80, but he's got like all this money. Where'd he get it? No idea.
Yeah.
I heard he sold jeans. So I heard he was a model. Well, I heard we
need $100,000. All right, well, give me a weekend and I'll have it. How? Well, didn't he come up with like 20 grand for that movie over a weekend or something?
He just fucking like money just fucking appeared. And whenever people asked him about it, it'd be like, Tommy, where's all this where's the money come from? Like he would tell like 3 different stories.
That's the room, right? Or the door?
The room.
The room.
And the thing is that to this day, nobody still like they made that oh God, what's his name? James Franco made that fucking movie about the room. Still, nobody knows about this guy.
Good movie.
Nobody knows about where the money came from. Still, nobody has a clue where the money came from, if he inherited it, if I've heard that he made a fortune selling like knockoff designer jeans.
That's one of the rumors I remember hearing.
Yeah, that's the rumor. Nobody even knows where he's from, because he's got that weird fucking accent that's got like that like Euro trash accent, where it's like, fake. I think Eastern Europe, but I don't know where. Maybe Croatia.
You know what's funny, Richard? You say like we don't know much about the room or where the money comes from. Well, we don't really know where Bob Martin is currently. Nobody knows where he's at.
Like his whereabouts are unknown?
Yes. So she called back to the office one day, and there was a new secretary. Again, like you said, like a 5-year-old making up this story. And so she's like, hey, can I speak to Bob Martin? And the secretary on the other line's like, Bob, there's no Bob that works here. And she's like, yeah, he's, and she describes him. He's like, he works with the boss. And the secretary giggles and is like, oh, I think you mean Don Lewis, the owner of the company. So she patches her through, and the person that she's known as Bob is actually Don Lewis, the owner. And Richard, do you know why he didn't want to tell her that he was the owner of this huge that was my first question.
Company? Like, if he's the owner, why'd he be like, oh, call this number and ask for Bob, even though I know full well that Bob is not there, but I'll still be there, just under a completely different name.
Yeah. She did this just because she didn't want to, or he did this because he didn't want her to know that he had money and just want to be with him for his money.
No, because she would want to be with him because of his so sparkling personality.
Yeah.
And his,
he always makes me feel safe.
Yeah. Right. Jesus.
And these two didn't get married.
And he's also you were saying that like when he pulled her over, he's married, right? Because he's like, hey, get in the car, I'm gonna tell you about my problems with my wife.
Yeah, I don't remember. I could probably see when him and his first wife got divorced. They got divorced in 1990. So there was like about an 11-year run where they were kind of messing around. So I guess with Don Lewis too.
Okay.
His wife.
So are you saying that she was Jolene in this situation?
Kind of. So his first wife's still alive. Gladys, Gladys.
Okay.
This was kind of a quick throwaway thing because they do interview her a little bit and her kids. I guess he was known to be kind of a womanizer outside of the marriage.
Okay.
And this is all coming from Carol, I think.
Yeah.
That she was always told if the kids found out about his extramarital affairs, the marriage was over.
Okay.
Otherwise, she was fine with it because he had a ton of money, I guess. So Don and his first wife got divorced in 1990, and Carol and him got married in 91.
Oh, all right.
It's safe to assume that probably for about 11 years they were fooling around.
Yeah.
Then they split up, and then she
Meanwhile,
married him.
like the first wife's driving around, fucking picking up randos.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold this potato to my head while I, tell you all my problems.
What's your name? Ted? Oh, you seem okay.
You seem trustworthy.
So this is where we kind of get into the cat part of Carol Baskin. So she always had like a love for cats when she was little, but she's allergic of cats. Which I don't know how that
of cats.
Allergic to cats.
Allergic to cats.
Yeah. Which I don't know how that corresponds to like big cats, if it's different.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, obviously, like, see, now I'm picturing like, all right, clinical trial, and then they dump a guy in a fucking cage and be like, all right, let the tiger out. Achoo! Achoo! Ah!
What killed him? I'm not sure if it was the allergies or the tiger itself.
He's like mauled, his chest ripped open and throat torn out. What killed him? Anaphylactic shock. The tiger's fucking mauling him, and the researchers are like, somebody get an EpiPen! Hurry!
Somebody's up there. Hits him in the leg. I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to make it.
Gun.
And she says she remembers one of her pictures as a kid too was with a cat. So she's got that, like, in the interviews too, from my perspective, she has that weird cat lady feel.
Okay.
Because in her house, Richard, everything is cat print. All of her outfits when she goes to Congress.
We all want what we can't have, Sean.
That's true. all of her outfits when she goes to Congress to petition this big cat. There's some law she's trying to get passed.
Okay.
And she always wears cat print outfits.
Sounds like the Cruella de Vil of cats.
Kind of, but it's not fur. It's not cat fur. It's just
no,
prints.
I know, but still, if you're being like, we love cats and we just want to save them, and you show up wearing a jacket that looks like that has tiger print on it.
Yeah, looks like cat print, but isn't.
Yeah, that's like me advocating, impossible meat while wearing, I don't know, a Big Mac around my neck on a chain.
Or like a Burger King t-shirt.
Yeah.
So they get married and they kind of have a fascination for exotic animals. And the first one that I remember them saying they bought, they're at an auction and there's a bobcat that they're trying to basically auction off, which again, I don't know where these auctions happen. Apparently you could very easily with very little anything own an exotic animal.
That's fucked up.
It is.
I feel like that's fucked up. Do you feel like that's fucked up?
When I tell you a stat at the end of this, it seems more fucked up than I thought it was.
Okay. Now, I feel like that's fucked up that you can just be like, I'm going to drive to this fucking rando town and buy a tiger. And then I'm going to put it in the back of my lime green pickup truck with truck nuts on it. And I'm going to drive it home and then I'm going to put it in the doghouse.
Now, I said I don't think you need papers. Don't go out and try to buy one without researching that fully, because these people may not have been doing all this legally.
So you're saying I shouldn't go buy a tiger?
Yeah, I'm saying you could.
Sean, I wouldn't buy a tiger in the first place because you know why? I think I'm allergic.
Now, I think you could buy one without papers, but I don't know if somebody came to your house of the federal or state government if they'd let you keep that tiger without papers.
I don't think they would. I don't see that happening.
They don't really go into too much detail on that, but so she's sitting there. They have this
Although
bobcat.
If the animal control officers be like, you got a tiger in the backyard, I'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, well, you can't have that. I'd be like, well, you go get it.
Do you know what? So to jump back on Joe, the town he was in Oklahoma, the police basically left it alone because of that fact.
Yeah. Because what the fuck are you going to do? I mean, call animal control. Tell them to come get it. An animal control's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. It's like, I could step on that property and they shoot me and then feed me to the tigers. And then what? Where's the proof?
Or you show up with 10 officers and then the 10 officers are like, okay, he's in there.
Yeah.
And then they send me and I'm like, fuck you guys.
And so he really didn't cause too much chaos outside of his compound. So it was kind of like out of sight, out of mind type of thing.
Sure.
But it was always I think the sheriff said of the calls that he gets, 10 or 15% of them are about Joe.
Okay.
Which was not violent, too violent and stuff. He wasn't hurting people, but just kind of more complaints.
All right.
So at this auction, they're doing this bobcat, and the person next to her bids on it. And again, this is where you get back to this 5-year-old wrote this story, because she's sitting there and she's like, the guy, bids X number of dollars, and she's like, oh my gosh, that bobcat is going to tear you up, because they're cute when they're little, but when they get to a certain age, they are just mean.
Yeah, because it's a fucking bobcat.
Yeah. And the guy says, oh, well, I'm not going to keep it as a pet. When I get to the parking lot, I'm going to club its head and I'm going to sell it for fur.
Jesus.
And Carol was like, And her millionaire husband bid up the price on that bobcat, and they decided to take it home.
And then they clubbed it. And then she wore its fur and went to Congress.
But no,
Cruella de Vil goes to Washington.
This apparently started them down the path of buying all these different cats. They had a bunch of bobcats, a bunch of other ones, and they were breeding them too for a little bit, because they thought they were just doing kind of people wanted these cats, so they were breeding them.
Again, what happens when they get big? Like she said to, stranger number 4 at the auction.
Carol very much to me has the do as I say, not as I do mentality.
Okay.
Because at this point, she's like, I want to stop breeding. And even Joe, when he first started his not really zoo, but his zoo. Yeah. He was interviewed very early on saying we need to pass laws that we don't allow breeding. Because people buy them, they get too big and they euthanize them. Yeah. But Joe kind of got sniffs of the money and the lifestyle. So he kind of, because really what comes down to all this too is like owning these cats is a huge addiction.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So Carol starts buying these animals, breeding them a little bit, and then she finds out this other place she was looking to buy some. It was a fur farm. And so she basically kind of made it her life's her life's mission to stop breeding in America of these animals.
But isn't she, but didn't you say she was breeding the animals?
She was, but when she kind of got a sniffle of what was going on, she stopped it.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where she kind of started the big cat rescue. And this may have been before her husband disappeared. I don't really know the timeline on that, but Big Cat Rescue it's the great story you hear of all these places. It's a sanctuary. It's a place where these animals can go and be safe and grow up, and we're saving them from these other people.
Yeah.
So before this happened, I think her husband really liked to breed animals still because he loved the kittens. Like he loved raising them and getting them bigger than giving them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, still kind of like.
I mean, like not the best thing to do, but like I don't know. Like right now, this dude doesn't seem too bad. Like it's I mean, it seems like he has some weird, bedroom kinks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hold a gun at me while I
think
but other than that, like he seems like a fairly decent dude.
Yeah, and it's in the middle ground of like it's not really a puppy farm, but it's not really because I mean, there's people who like they'll get a dog and they like to breed it because they're like, oh, I love having puppies and I'm only going to let it have 2 litters and then we're going to get it fixed because it's not healthy for the dog to have so many litters, and then we find good homes for him. And it seems like he's a little bit more extreme than that thought, but not quite like, oh my God, we got to pump these fuckers out and sell them.
Yeah.
So she was like, I want to stop the breeding altogether. And Don was like, well, no, like, and I want to do this, and
He's
have
like,
the money.
But look at them, they're so cute. I just want to snuggle their little faces.
And so things started getting heated between him and Carol, like not in a good way, like not in a kinky way.
Oh no! Now he's gonna go driving down the road and he's gonna pick up some other rando chick, isn't he?
He has a secretary. Nothing kinky happens with her, but he gives her a document sealed. He says, if anything happens to me, open this up.
Oh, shit.
And he tried to file a restraining order against Carol.
Oh, wow.
Because she threatened to kill him, but apparently that they couldn't do anything with that.
Okay.
So Richard, like a couple weeks after he gave his secretary that
So did she,
envelope,
wait a minute, did he like boot her out of the house or?
No, they're still living together. I think his complaint to his
secretary. How do you file a restraining order and be like, okay, well, she can, I mean, as long as she stays on that side.
I guess maybe to get her kicked out of the house.
Yeah. Okay. So like an eviction notice kind of thing.
Kind of, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. And apparently one of the other complaints was he said that she like took his gun or hid his gun. And he's like, no, you can only have that on me back then, not right now.
Yeah.
We're in a different time now.
Before I wasn't loaded.
So,
what am I, some kind of psycho?
So a couple weeks after he gives that envelope, all of a sudden he goes missing.
Oh, shit.
And Carol gets a call from the secretary and she's like, hey, have you seen Don? And she's like, well, no, he's been gone for a couple of days. Why should I be worried? Instantly, like alarm bells are going off for all these people.
Right.
Because I don't say she makes up, but her story is that she saw him like 3 days before he got up early and said, hey, I need to make this run to Puerto Rico for some, like, basically, I think to buy some lemurs or buy some kind of animal there.
I'm going to get some ganja. And some fucking meerkats. It's going to be a wild fucking plane ride back.
And he had his own planes, which he had lost his flying license, I guess, his pilot license. But she said he would fly under the radar or whatever, and like, everybody's trying to tie these things like, okay, well, you can't really fly under a radar.
Right.
And the flight, he would have to stop somewhere. And even like the van.
You got to put gas in the fucking plane.
Yeah, exactly. And even the van that was left there was left kind of like weird. Like it just seemed more like a plant than anything. And they
like
didn't
the van was left weird.
Just like, was the keys left in it or something like that?
Okay.
Like
there was a sign that said "Gone flying" parentheses. Basically. No, seriously, close parentheses.
My wife didn't kill me. Close parentheses. But long story short, with all that, because they don't go into too much because they're just like, we don't know what happened. Within the time frame that it took for her to declare him legally dead after filing him missing, it was that in a day. So I think it was like you have to wait 5 years since somebody's been missing before you can declare them legally dead.
Okay.
And so she filed that like 5 years in a day.
All right.
But before all of that, she changed all their wills and stuff to say that instead of upon death, everything goes to her, it was upon death or disappearance.
Okay.
So in those 5 years, he was technically disappeared.
Oh.
So that money went to her.
Okay.
So all that finishes. She gets the money. She cuts the wife and the other wife and the kids out, so they don't get anything.
Right.
And in this, they kind of like mentioned, like, yeah, we think she was involved in this. So let's go back to Joe.
But wait, what happened? What about the secretary with the envelope?
I don't remember if she got fired or if I think
what was in the envelope.
I think Carol raided and took the envelope. She never said what she saw inside it. Or she still has the envelope. They basically gloss over that.
What about the envelope? I feel like the envelope was like you teased me with this fucking envelope.
They didn't really say much about it.
Damn it.
But that's just another piece of evidence to be like, something's not right.
It's not evidence because it's not around. Well, evidence is the secretary opened the envelope and it said, if I turn up missing, I didn't go to Puerto Rico. I'm in a fucking tiger cage and I'm poop.
Would that be circumstantial evidence?
No. Or it would be a guy saying, I'm now animal poop because my bitch wife fucking threw me in the goddamn tiger cage.
But I like that you said that because Joe, I told you he was a country star. He wrote a music video because in this whole environment.
I mean, are we saying country star? Are we? Are we using the term that liberally now?
Well, he has other people sing it, but he claims it as his own. So he's Milli Vanilli in it. It's not bad. Like, it sounds good.
Okay.
Lyrics aren't great, but so he wrote a song and in this whole kind of universe of these exotic animal owners, they're all pretty confident that Carol killed her husband and fed him to her tigers.
So that's what's being spoken in the fucking tiger hoarding circles.
Yes, yeah.
Like, hey, that bitch in Florida, she totally fed him to the fucking tigers.
Yeah, they said that like she put him through the meat grinder and fed him to him.
Damn. You know what? Like, okay. You always see those in like mob movies and stuff like that. Be like, oh, we'll put him in the fucking meat grinder. Oh, we'll put him, we'll just chop them up at the fucking butcher shop, or like, we'll just saw people. We'll just, cut them up in the bathtub and shit like that. Like, you hear that and like, but I feel like the task of like dismembering a body, like, let me give you an example. Okay. Like every year at the end of Christmas, like when Christmas is over and you've got the Christmas tree, right? And you're like, fuck, I got to take the Christmas tree down. And so you take all the ornaments off and you put the ornaments away, but then you're still left.
Tree or real tree?
Real tree.
Oh, okay.
So then you're left with this big fucking tree and you're like, well, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Because you can't, like where I live, like I can't just put the Christmas tree out on the curb and then, fucking trash or whoever comes and picks it up. So what I have to do is I have to take the tree out back and I have to dismember this tree.
Mm.
I got to cut all the branches off. I got to cut the trunk of the tree down. I got to get it so it'll all fit in bags. And then I put the bags out.
First
Shawn,
off,
the process of dismembering a Christmas tree is hard. And that's a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's not a human being with fucking bones and, like you got to use like saw. You got to use a saw because you got to cut fucking. Like that's some work. Work that I feel like I've seen pictures of this lady, and I don't know if she's like physically fit enough to goddamn dismember and then grind up a body.
Yeah, and Don Lewis isn't like a big man, and he was older and frail, so I mean, it wouldn't have taken as much as like somebody who's like 400 pounds, but still, the amount of work it would take to do that. Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be very easy.
Oh fuck. So they all think that she chopped the dude up, put him in the grinder, and fed him
to the tigers.
There's
there's another little bit in this documentary where everybody kind of like cocks their head when she talks about this.
Okay.
So Joe, apparently when he was filming one of his videos, because I told you he had like his own like TV show on the internet.
Yeah.
Page, one of the tigers started freaking out and like sniffing at his shoes and kind of biting at it, and he kind of had to push it away and he shot at it.
Oh shit.
And he was pissed because he was saying that somebody had put cologne on his boots trying to kill him. And when Carol's talking about this, she's like, well, I mean, that's stupid. Like if you put cologne on you, they just want to like nuzzle you and love you. Like if you wanted to have somebody get attacked, you'd put, I don't know, like salmon oil or something like that on them. And then, because that's something they'd want to eat. And everybody like is kind of like
that's oddly specific.
Yeah. And considering that there's a rumor about you feeding your husband. Hey, honey, hold this. What's this? Can of tuna. Get him, Simba.
All right, well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna head out for a minute. Can you feed the animals? Oh, by the way, hold this fish around your neck. Don't worry, it's a repelling fish.
So I know, like, you may not have high like thoughts on Carol. But let me talk about her business a little bit, the Big Cat Sanctuary, because I think this is kind of important. Because
this is okay. This is the woman that Joe described as his arch nemesis, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So she formed Big Cat Rescue.
Right.
And she doesn't have anybody paid on her staff. Like we talked about Joe's people, they get paid $100 a week, $150 a week. They get to live on the campus and they get to pick from the spoiled old Walmart food.
Yeah.
Before they give it to the animals.
Yeah. Lap of luxury.
Carol has what I kind of think is more of a pyramid scheme because she has no employees. They're all volunteers.
Okay.
And you come in, you become a specific colored shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Putting in so many hours and time, you get another shirt and then another shirt and another shirt. You kind of work your way to the top. And I think this just shows kind of the addiction with this stuff too, because basically what they're doing is, and we won't talk about the other guy too much, I don't think. We mentioned him a little bit, the Antle guy who's got the zoo in Carolina, I think. He's got like a cult. Like he brings in like girls that are like 18 or 19.
Oh,
and essentially like marries them.
See, no, that's worse.
Yeah. But with what this is though, it's just kind of saying, it's like people come in, it's like, oh my God, you mean all day I get to play with these big cats? Like it can be fun and you kind of grow attached to them. And that's
if you get to the very tippy top, then you get to wear the repelling fish.
Yeah. How much does that pay? Nothing.
You get to wear the special salmon necklace.
But that's just like when they talked about what I'll talk about next, why Carol and Joe are kind of fighting. You just kind of see is like, well, she's got a pretty slick business in terms of her making money because she charges for people to come in and look at these animals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She doesn't let them hold them though, but they get to look at them.
All right.
But when you have only volunteers and you're selling stuff and she's got Facebook ads and she's got YouTube hits, she's pulling in a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
Now, these animals are expensive to take care of, but if you're not paying anybody to do any of that and you're getting donations, I'm sure you're pulling in a pretty decent mint. And
probably.
She does. But her and Joe kind of come to a head because she wants to stop all the breeding.
Uh-huh.
And the gist I got from this is more of she wants to stop her competition.
Oh, okay.
So she, she kind of got Joe kicked out of the malls because she had people follow and show how, he wasn't treating the animals well.
Yeah.
And then she also, so she did that. And then what was the other stuff she was doing? So she was trying to get the breeding stuff knocked out. And so these two basically kind of came to a head.
All right.
Joe would constantly bitch and complain on his YouTube channel about her. Would say like, hey, if you come anywhere near
on his vlog that saying with air quotes.
And so like one of the things that sticks out in my mind with this is he's doing his video and he's got this blow up doll with a picture of Carol on it. And he's going on and on about like, oh my God, like Carol Baskin better never step in front of me because this is what I would do. And he pulls out a pistol and shoots the blow up doll on video that goes online. And
Tommy, get some tape. We're gonna take two that.
And we won't talk much about this guy either. But there's a guy who was filming a documentary I don't have his name on here. He was doing more of a reality show called Tiger King.
Okay, so he was filming a reality show about Joe. Okay.
And he had like 2 years of video, and the thing that cut the most when they talked to him is he said, like up until this point, he's like, I had to film all this stuff for 2 years, but I had to make it look like he was treating the animals well, and he wasn't treating them well.
Yeah.
And apparently there was a big blow up between this producer and Joe. Because this guy lived on the campus too for 2 years.
You're like, damn it! Now I gotta buy a male blow up doll.
Well,
I'm gonna shoot that.
So the guy Joe is like, listen, like you can't do anything, like you blah blah blah. And he's like, listen, I don't remember exactly what the blow up was over, but he's like, Joe, I have everything on film. Like I could bring this place down.
Oh shit!
And I
don't know if I want to say that to a guy that has access to wild and dangerous animals.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was because he was saying that because Joe was very he always felt like everybody was working for Carol to shut him down.
Oh, okay.
And if I remember correctly, I think he was blaming this producer saying like, you've been working with her, you're trying to fuck me over. And he's like, I've got all this stuff. If I wanted to screw you over, I would.
Yeah.
And in their studio, if you want to call it that, which doubled as a alligator sanctuary.
Oh, Jesus.
During the middle of the night, there was a huge...
I'm gonna feed the blow-up dolls to the gators. Hang on a second.
Yeah, there was a huge fire that burned
There was a fire in the gator sanctuary?
Yeah, that burned down
that's what I need. A building burning down, and then the fire department. Oh, my God. Can you fucking imagine? Okay, let's say you're the fire department, and you show up and be like, oh, my God, the fucking house, this building's burning down. Let's hurry up and put it out. And so they go and they start spraying it with water, and then all of a sudden alligators fucking run out of it. I'd be like, what kind of fucking 10th plague is this that's just showed up at my front door?
That's your 5th level right before the boss kind of fight. But no, so the studio, it burnt so hot they said they couldn't even get close to it.
Damn.
And the gators, they said, basically boiled alive.
Oh, that's sad.
And all the stuff that this producer had on this this reality show he was doing, which was going to be his retirement fund. He said this was $1 million, essentially, reality TV show he was going to sell and retire on it. And that's why he spent 2 years on it.
Yeah.
All of their stuff was in that studio that they've recorded for 2 years.
Shit.
Backed up nowhere.
Oh, fuck.
And he said, he's like, I cried, and I just went back to my trailer, got my dog, couple things, and just left. And he said he left like a bunch of stuff there. And kind of washed his hands.
Sad.
Yeah, and kind of washed his hands of the whole thing.
Fuck. Fuck.
But Joe started blaming Carol and him, thinking that they were the ones who set the fire. And again, this guy just keeps saying, he's like, dude, like you. I was
that's you. That's I had the evidence that okay. So aside from the very suspicious death of her husband, I'm struggling to like, why is there so much hatred for the woman on the internet?
Oh, well, so it kind of started with the Carol stopping or making it so that he couldn't do the mall thing and kind of hurting his business. And this is where Joe kind of made his own mistake.
Okay.
He decided to create his own entertainment company.
Because right now, I guess I'm just saying between the two of them, like Joe seems like the bigger piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are really great people.
No, agreed. They're all reprehensible. But I guess I'm just saying, like, if we're looking at the field right now, she is striking me as the lesser evil, one of the lesser evils.
Yeah, it's kind of the evil you know, the evil you don't, maybe, because with Joe, if you make him mad, he's probably going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah, he'll just shoot you in the face. Or he'll get another blow-up doll and he'll shoot that in the face.
Maybe. But Carol, the alternative is like if you make her mad, you're gonna have a fish necklace, and
then you're wearing the salmon necklace.
But so what really kind of trickled it down into like this huge thing that led to, we'll talk about the next guy. Joe decided to create his own entertainment company called Big Cat Rescue Entertainment. using the same name as her rescue place. Essentially the exact same logo, except with entertainment under it.
All right.
Which put it down the whole legal pipeline, which somehow they end up settling, and Joe was sued for $1 million.
Oh, shit.
But he didn't have $1 million.
No.
And Carol kept hitting him hard, basically trying to shut him down.
Oh,
and that's where we bring in our rock star, Jeff Lowe.
Okay. Is this a good guy?
No, this guy.
God damn it. Right now, the only dude that I've heard that seems at all like okay was that campaign manager, but I think even he was kind of fucked up too.
Yeah, he was the best of them all. And there's a couple people,
and that's not saying much for the record.
Yeah, there's a couple people that worked for Joe that were okay. Like they legitimately cared for the animals.
Sure.
But this Jeff Lowe guy shows up, and he's another kind of like big cat person.
Okay.
Him and his wife are like, I guess, really into, I don't know the best way to say it. Basically what they would do is they would take kittens, like tiger cubs.
Okay.
Take them to Vegas and have people pay them to come up to their suite to take pictures with them.
Fuck that.
Well, the idea behind it is you get all these hot chicks, like all these rich people coming up, and then you get to bang them because they're like, oh my God, nothing makes me hotter than petting a tiger cub.
Fuck that. Shawn, would you want to have sex in a bedroom full well and knowing that there's a tiger in the living room?
Well,
that's like The Hangover. Do you want to live a hangover life?
No, that's a tiger. This is a tiger cub. Like, this is a thing that's like barely bigger than a puppy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, yeah, if like you're going at it and it jumps on the bed.
And then all of a sudden fucking a tiger like pops its head through the door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was, and when he showed up, he basically.
And then she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have worn my salmon necklace." And then you're like, "Fuck."
Let's see who this really is. Carol fucking Baskin. I knew it. So Jeff Lowe shows up, and everybody at the park's basically saying like he's got money, but we don't know how he has money.
Oh, see, another fucking why so here.
Yeah, and so he talks Joe into selling him or putting his name on the park and starts funding a lot of the stuff, taking a lot of these animals to Vegas to make money. Lots of shady stuff going on. And ends up kind of muscling Joe out of this because when Joe was running for the public office, this would have been for the governor's run in 2018.
Okay.
Apparently he was doing some campaign financing issues with the money that Lowe had. And so Jeff kind of kicked him out of the whole thing.
Okay.
But to get all of this kind of on the home stretch, so Joe's kind of out of the park, but he still has this huge like pain spot for Carol. And he had talked about like wanting her dead forever. And people weren't sure if he was joking or being truthful when he would tell people like, hey, would you kill her? Like if I gave you money, would you kill her?
Oh shit.
So Jeff set up.
You're like, I'm shooting the blow up doll, but it's just not doing it for me anymore.
Jeff sets up.
Duct tape can only fix so much. Am I right? Am I right?
Jeff sets up this meeting with Joe and one of his buddies who was working at the park and basically gets kind of Joe on record to say that he would pay for this guy to go kill her.
Oh, shit.
The guy doesn't. The guy admits to being like, hey, I took the money, but I basically was stealing it from Joe. I wasn't going to go through with this. And it kind of ends pretty quickly that, Jeff has control of the park. Joe ends up going to court for basically a bunch of different counts of animal cruelty. And then also this charge of, I don't know what you call when you try to hire a hitman.
Murder for hire.
Murder for hire. He's found guilty on all of it. And he is sentenced to 22 years in jail. But as he's sitting in jail up to this point, this happened in 2019, he's been
so right now he is like 1 year into his sentence?
Yeah, it's very, very early on.
So he's not going to get out until 2042. How old is he?
50 something.
So he's not getting out until he's almost 80.
Yeah.
Shit.
But as he's been in jail, he has worked to talk with PETA and other people saying that he has a bunch of information to bring this whole big cat exotic animal owning empire down.
Oh my
across
God.
the board. So that is his life goal right now, I think, is to get back at everybody.
You know what? I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, I mean,
like if it stops people from fucking cat hoarding.
Because like I haven't researched this yet, but a couple days ago, so after we talked the first time, somebody had posted a video from the local news station from like 2014.
Okay.
And I guess there was like a cat sanctuary, 30, 40 minutes from where I live. And in the thing, they're talking about how they had some, the government came in and said, hey, you got to fix some of these things. We're going to take the animals. So they're working on getting it fixed. They're asking for donations. Richard, guess who shows up in that video?
Who shows up in the video?
Joe Exotic showed up in that video.
Oh, shit.
Here in, 10 to 15 hours away from where he actually lives, as like an animal something deputy with a badge and everything.
Oh, wow.
And going on,
like, this is my deputy, and he has the blow up doll with duct tape all over it and bullet holes.
When you watch that interview and you know what he is now, like looking back at that, it was nothing official. Like that was a badge he bought over the counter.
Yeah,
somewhere.
he got a fucking gas station on the way there.
And he's going on about like, oh yeah, like this is a great place and yada yada. It's like it really just needs community support and money, and that's really all this needs. And you kind of see like, okay, if this guy is helping this guy out, like where does this like web of weirdness go? Because there's got to be so many of these little, maybe even 10 to 15 tiger lion parks out there, or private zoos, really.
Yeah.
And so like seeing that just kind of makes like, because we talked about it earlier, I've never really wanted to go to like a roadside zoo.
No, I've had no inclination to do that at all. I've been to 2 different zoos, and I just wasn't really big on either of them. I mean, they were interesting, but I wouldn't shed a huge tear if they weren't around, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd still want to know, like, as a kid, you're always kind of told the research and stuff like that that's done in those zoos to help animals.
True. Like the San Diego Zoo is like, huge when it comes, has like, makes huge efforts to try to, help, get and help rehabilitate, animals. And they're big with the pandas. I think they were one of the leading ones in trying to get pandas to fuck.
But yeah, those are only on loan. Do you know that about pandas?
Mm-hmm.
You can't actually own a panda here. It's only on loan from China.
Yeah.
But you know who else says they do a lot for, nature and habitats and stuff? SeaWorld.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'm sure San Diego's different. I would think.
Well, SeaWorld's in San Diego too, Sean.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's just kind of the stuff you don't know. And then when you find out you're kind of helping the problem, it's like you feel icky.
Meanwhile, this fucking fucked up hillbilly is gonna, fucking crack the case on the goddamn exotic animal market.
Yeah. But so talking about that, so like I said, the stat I will tell you that will just kind of make you think, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So in the United States, I think it was, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I meant to get the screenshot, but it is like 15 to 20,000 tigers are held here in the United States.
20,000 fucking tigers.
And that's probably counting your zoos and stuff, which
sure.
I mean, even then that's like Joe Exotic owned like 170 tigers. Like my local zoo has like 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Oh, and remind me to talk to you about the chimpanzee part real quick too, because I think this is kind of shows Joe's softer side. But in the wild, Richard,
okay,
there's only 4,000 tigers in the wild.
So there's almost 3 times as many tigers in captivity as there are in the wild.
There's at least 4 to 5 times as many in captivity as there are in the wild.
Damn.
Which the guy you said is like the most kind of like okay person out of this whole story, the campaign manager guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of this, he's talking about, it's like, all these people lost sight of what really mattered. It's the animals and their habitat. He's like, all the money that was spent on all this stuff could have went to help that.
Yeah.
But here we are with all these people, and they're basically, we have all these animals here where they don't belong instead of helping where they are. Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute. So if he's in jail, then what's going on with the Oklahoma thing?
Well,
and all the the 100 and however many you said, the 170 tigers.
Well, the Jeff Lowe guy owns all that now because when everything was going on, he had him sign it over, and he conned another kind of. This guy was more of a private zoo owner, but he conned another rich dude, conned him into helping him out to build a brand new facility, like 20 minutes or 20 miles or 30 miles away from where the current zoo was, and trying to build all that. But that guy ended up saying, "Fuck you, Jeff. I'm doing all the work and spending all the money, so you just do it yourself."
Yeah.
And that dude seemed kind of okay because he like cared for his animals.
Sure.
And the whole time during the interview, he has this monkey on his shoulder. And he brought the monkey with him when he did work and into stores and everything. Like it was like a legit like little pet, like a dog that would walk around you.
Okay. So you're saying he's Ross from Friends?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Okay, fantastic.
Now the other, let me end on this sad note, I guess a little bit, but it's kind of a happy note. I don't know the year when all this was going on, but Joe had 2 chimpanzees, and he kept them.
Because why not? Like,
yeah. And again, this is kind of exotic animal owner world. Like I'm sure somebody's like, "Well, man, I got these 2 chimpanzees. I don't want, but I'll take 2 tigers, or I'll take 2 tiger cubs." And so he had these 2 chimpanzees in these 10 by 10 foot cages next to each other.
All right.
And he said he had to get rid of them and gave them to the Great Ape Sanctuary in Florida.
All right.
And he seemed upset, and he said that was a hard day. But when we took them there, within a couple weeks of them being in the same enclosure, they were like hugging on each other and
that's nice,
smiling and all this other stuff. And he's like, I thought to myself, like, did I deprive that of that for them for 10 years?
Aw.
And he's like, I did. I didn't intentionally mean to do it, but I did that. But knowing that they're there now kind of was like, oh, well, at least like that's sad, and just kind of makes the whole thing in perspective. Like,
yeah.
And when he's talking from the cell, when he end up basically getting sentenced for 22 years, he totally is freaking out. Like he's like, they treat me worse in here than you would animals. Like, I can't be in a cage. And it's almost kind of that poetic justice to an extent.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
did he also get arrested by the irony police?
Yeah, I know, right? But we didn't really touch much on the guy who helped Jeff Lowe out. I don't have his name up here, but he was interesting. A couple other the people, like the reality producer, we didn't really talk about. But we're not going to do a episode 3.
Oh, thank God.
Because I think we kind of got all the full gist of what's going on in this world. So I guess after episode 2, Richard, some Richard's closing thoughts. Are you more, less interested? Is it different than what you were expecting this story to be?
I would say it's slightly different from what I'm expecting, in the sense that, like, the way initially I thought, I was like, oh, this is going to be some like bullshit reality thing. Like I said, like fucking like that Honey Boo Boo show or whatever. But it sounds like it's more of a, like a crime drama.
Oh yeah.
Like a Dateline thing, like you were saying.
Yeah. If you like Dateline, this is very much a Dateline type.
Right. I'll say this. I'll say I'm still not going to see it just because like I said before, like I don't need that I don't need to view that amount of misery and misfortune. Like I just don't need it in my life. However, I will say that I'm fine that you described the show to me, and I don't need to see it.
I think I touched on everything. If you had like, I don't want to see it, but I'd like to kind of hear a different source. Wondery has a podcast out where they're talking about, it's like a 7-part. It's short episodes.
Okay.
That kind of gives you the gist as well.
No, I'm good with you. Like you're fine.
They're gonna try to make this an actual movie.
Oh my! I don't think that's possible. Like this, I'm like when you consider the popularity of this show, like who do you like? What kind of movie are you gonna make? Because the whole it's all over the place.
Yeah, and
number
you can't
one,
make it you have to make it a drama. You can't make this a comedy.
Yeah, like everything's all over the place, and it's too much. It's one of those it's while it sounds like a great idea, like, oh my God, this would make a great movie, I feel like in actual execution, it would be a terrible movie.
Agreed. I think if you didn't have this documentary out, you probably could do a movie that was semi-serious and be like, they couldn't have been like that, right? And then you research it's a lot worse than what it is. But going in knowing how bad it was.
Yeah.
But
there's no way you couldn't do it.
Well, Richard, I'm glad I could explain it to you. I'm sure everybody on the internet's probably already explained it and watched it, but
yes, I'm sure they have. And I've seen ample evidence to suggest that you're right in that regard.
Yeah, but nobody's doing 2-episode podcast on it. 2-episode review podcast.
Holy fuck. All right. And also 2 episodes where one person hasn't or doesn't want to see it at all. True.
All right, well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping before Joe tries to blow up our studio. Visit our website.
Make blow up dolls of us.
Visit our website. We're languageofbros.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. You can email us at bros@languageofbros.com. A couple ways to help support the show. You can always spread the bromance by liking, retweeting, or sharing our show on Reddit. And you can also grab a little bit of that sweet LB merch at the T Public store.
Excellent.
And also, if you want to go a little bit further, there's our Patreon account. It's at patreon.com/languageofbromance. As you know, we pay for this show all out of pocket. We don't have any Jeff Lowe's or anybody showing up to being like, hey, I don't have any money, but I'll pretend like I do.
Yeah, I'll hold a gun to your head if you give us money. Wait, if that's what you want.
But, you know, we like to thank our listeners that do help us out. Wendy and Aaron, thank you guys very much as always. And I guess if there's nothing else, is there anything before I close her out?
No, I'm glad this is over.
All right. Well, that's all the brunch we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why.
Be a why not.
Be a why not. Back those tapes up.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can only imagine the shits on that. And then fucking dude's like, I'm gonna blow this shit wide open. And I imagine him like putting on fucking like aviator shades. And then there's an explosion behind him.
Yeah. And then you forget the alligators are in there, but there's nothing worse than trying to grab a hot alligator.
Yeah. Yeah. And then everybody dies from anaphylactic shock.
Quick, give him an EpiPen.